viewpoints about the present situation that we are in. How do we see to take this matter forward? What's the way forward now on this?
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Firstly, I praise Allah and then thank everybody who's made this program possible. And I agree with nearly all the points made by my respected brothers and shuyukh. Alhamdulillah. I'd like to concentrate on just clarifying one or two issues, because many of the public still don't understand actually why there is this disagreement, because there's only one moon. And many people ask me all the time, what's going on? I'd like to try to clarify that a little and then talk about a good way forward, inshallah. And for me, the biggest reason why we have the ikhtilaf is because of a divergence between religion and science. Whereas in the early time, Muslims were very scientific. In fact, the Muslim scientists led the world for 1,000 years, including the astronomers. Muslim astronomers like Bayruni, Ibn Shatir, At-Tusi and others were the experts of their time. And they taught astronomy to Europe and the West, in fact. But now, unfortunately, what we have over the last few centuries is that knowledge has died. And so in the Muslim world, the 60-odd different Muslim countries, many of them use very different methods to determine the lunar calendar. And that's why, at the moment, the reality is that Ramadan and Eid start across 4 days in the Muslim world. It's not just like 2 days in Britain, 2 or 3 days, but across 4 different days. And part of the reason for that is people are out of touch with the natural cycles. People don't look at the sun and the moon anymore and watch. People are just obsessed with clocks and timetables. Now, I'll give an example of that which is relevant to this, which is knowledge of the moon when it passes the sun. To put it simply, the lunar month is as the moon goes around the earth once in 29 or 30 days. That's a lunar month. And so when it comes to the end of the month, it's on one side of the sun. And as it crosses the sun, it goes over to the other side of the sun, we have the new lunar month, when the crescent is visible. Now the moment the moon, if you like, passes the sun, that's called conjunction. And that can be calculated precisely to the minute. And a clear example of that is everybody's seen it all around the world.
But I believe to the second.
Is a solar eclipse, yes. Perhaps to the second. People have seen solar eclipses, lunar eclipses.
That's right.
We have had loads of these, and every time you notice, the astronomers say it will start at exactly this time to the minute, and it does. And we've seen that over and over again. Now, so for example, for this month, for Ramadan coming up, the calculations say clearly that this moment will happen tomorrow afternoon, our time. But yet there are some Muslim countries looking for the new moon tonight. You see, as Sheikh Sulaiman mentioned.
Is it nowhere in the world possible for the conjunction to have taken place today?
No, not at all. It's like the solar eclipse. It's like saying, you don't have a solar eclipse a day before another country. It varies by a few hours, the eclipse moves across the earth. Similarly, this moment of conjunction does, but it's all tomorrow afternoon. Now, further than that, we mentioned the calculations. We actually have more advanced calculations. I believe we have calculations, these are from the Greenwich website, for example, which actually we did not have in 1984. I think that's a crucial point. They have actually matured immensely in the last 20 years. So, for example, this graph here shows the world, and it's all white. There's no color at the top. This is showing us that tomorrow evening, Tuesday night, the hilal is not visible from anywhere in the world. And these are actually qat'i calculations. These are not dhani. There's no margin of error in these. These are precise. And the bottom curve there shows the same thing for the following day. And it shows us that even there, most of the world cannot see the hilal, because the moon is far south. But Southern Africa, South America can see it Wednesday night. And even Mecca may see it, but with a telescope, actually. And the fifth principle that we can adopt here.
This is now tomorrow night.
Those are 2 graphs. Tomorrow night, there's no chance of the hilal. So that's why, really, according to the hilal, a Wednesday start to Ramadan is wrong. It's completely wrong. According to the ru'ya, we can only start on Thursday by accepting the sight from South Africa. Now, there are fifth principles about this. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said in volume 25 of his Fatawa about the hilal, إذا رؤيا في الشرق رؤيا في الغرب ولا ينعكس. And the Shafi scholars and others all agree on this. It's simple physics, actually. He says, because of the way the earth rotates from west to east, if the hilal is seen in the east, it will be seen in the west, but not vice versa.
Right.
And so that's why the fuqaha who understand astronomy say, تقبل الرؤيا والشهادة من الشرق وليس من الغرب. You can accept a sighting from the east, but not from the west. And further than that, our ulama, some of them have gone further, and I believe this is the correct view. Sheikh Ahmad Shakir, Yusuf al-Qardawi, and others have said, now that these calculations are so precise, based on a holistic maqasid reading of the Sharia, we can actually have a calculated, unified lunar calendar for the whole world. and this is well known. Ahmad Shakir and others said this, except Ahmad Shakir, the great Sheikh of Hadith, he based his calculation on this conjunction and not on the new moon. So actually, according to his view, a Wednesday start to Ramadan would actually be okay. Which is why I believe that those who will start on Wednesday, alhamdulillah, their fasting in Ramadan is acceptable. Although I firmly believe that those countries which start on Thursday will be more correct. So
on that basis, I mean, if I may just interject for a moment,
yeah.
where it is so explicitly clear in terms of the slightest possibility of the sighting, particularly the conjunction, when it takes place, it's not going to be in there today. How come that in certain parts of the world, like we have heard in the report early on, that in Saudi Arabia, that they will be looking for sighting for today on the 29th?
This is because I believe it's because of religion and science have gone apart. And many of our ulama, unfortunately, astronomy is not studied in the curriculum of the madaris. In some countries it is. In Indonesia and Malaysia, all of the imams and ulama are certified in astronomy, and they know their prayer times and they know their hilal inside out.
But in Saudi Arabia we have scholars as well. But in Saudi Arabia we have scholars who are...
They're actually a minority. Sheikh Sulaiman mentioned them. They're a minority. There are still many ulama who say it's haram to use calculations. So this is one issue. And I do believe, but it's a slow process of education, and I'm sure we'll get there. But by the way, the 1984 formula, I believe, was a heroic effort, and it was the best that could be done at the time.
Right.
But I believe one of the reasons it hasn't worked is it is actually contradictory, because it stipulated two conditions where actually you only need one. Because if you can see the hilal anywhere in the world, classically, they can see it in South Africa on Wednesday evening, in South America, or South Africa especially. We can accept that. We don't have to worry about whether or not it is above our horizon. As Ibn Taymiyyah said, he says if a Muslim truly sees it around the world, that's good enough for all the Muslims, except it will go westwards.
So it is irrespective of whether the moon is on the horizon in the UK?
Yes, if we wait for the moon to be horizon in the UK, we would be starting Ramadan here on Friday or Saturday, because the moon is low south. We will not see the moon until...
No, the moon is on the horizon on Wednesday night for 3 minutes,
okay,
according to the observatory data.
But that's not enough to see the hilal.
Yes, it's not enough to see, but it is there. The fact is that that's what 1984 formula was trying to say, that provided the moon is on the horizon, irrespective of the age of the moon, and the time the moon is on the horizon after sunset, but it must be on the horizon. Then you would be able to accept the but of course I see that there are certain areas of setbacks as far as the 84 formula is concerned, because it didn't really go into much detail in terms of the countries on the east and the countries of the west, which is, I believe, is also an important criteria that we can only get news from the...
And we need an international conference, really, of all the Muslim countries to solve this. This is the way Greenwich Mean Time was developed. It was an international conference. Britain, France, America, Germany, India, Turkey, the Arab world, Egypt. They came to that conference and they decided on Greenwich as the center of zero longitude and for the time to start there. The Muslim countries need to do this kind of thing and to decide where to draw the line, because when you say except from the east, not from the west, you have to draw the line somewhere. I actually think in Britain it's very easy for us because we have a natural barrier, the Atlantic Ocean, to our west. So we can clearly say we won't accept sightings from America, North or South America, but we can accept from anywhere in the world, including our own country. And the final point I'd like to make is about unity, actually. I think, as our brother and Sheikh have said, alhamdulillah, we actually agree on most of this. And even on Ramadan, even if we have differences at the beginning and at the end, the Muslims, alhamdulillah, agree on 27 or 28 days of Ramadan. And I think we shouldn't forget that there's a great barakah in that. But...
Sorry, 27, 28?
The most of Ramadan is all agreed.
Yeah,
it's only the beginning and the end.
Beginning and the end.
There's a lot of khair in that. But certainly people in one city or one country now, we have to take the age of instant communication into account. We have to take political realities. And we are one country in Britain, so there's no point talking about difference between London or Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, whatever. We're one country, and we should strive for unity, one unified criterion.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Osama, alhamdulillah, giving us the scientific information, which is, I think, so important and so crucial how to go about. Now, what we really need to understand now is you have given some sort of ideas of way forward, but let's also try to understand that this is not just issue peculiar to UK. This is an issue of concern in many parts of the world, even in Muslim countries. In Pakistan, for example, as much as a Muslim country, there is a Grand Mufti there. We hear that even in the northwest frontier, sometimes they don't necessarily follow the decision being made in other parts of Pakistan. Even in Bangladesh, I hear that sometimes there are different